Good afternoon at Senate Institutions. It's Wednesday, March 22nd. We have with us today Heather Schuldeis, Chair for the Capital Complex Commission. It's her confirmation appointment. And we're going to spend a few minutes with you, Heather. How are you today?
Very good. Thank you for having me.
Well, we appreciate you coming very much. So tell us what the Capital Complex does, the committee.
Well, let me tell you a little bit about my time on the commission. So I'm a former House member and Governor.
What year?
2004.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Governor Douglas appointed me to be chair of the Capital Complex Commission because I clearly wanted to continue to do some public service. And I've been chair ever since. So I've worked under Governor Douglas, Governor Shumlin, now Governor Scott, and interesting group of commissioners, starting with Tasha Wallace, who you've probably seen this session, and then Mike Lobachowski, and then Wanda Manoli, Chris Cole, and now Jennifer Fish. And they've all been a delight to work with. I think the biggest accomplishment that I feel that we have done, and it wasn't necessarily under my charge, was we put together a master plan for the Capital Complex. So we deal with everything on the exterior of the buildings, nothing on the interior. But if you were to ever do City House expansion, we would look at the outside, but work with the contractors on the outside aesthetics of the building to make sure that it blends well, or view shed and those kinds of things. So we put that in place because at the time we had commission members that have served for 20 years. And what do we do when we lose this institutional knowledge? Mm-hmm. And it can become very subjective as to what I like and what you like and that kind of thing. So we tried to put together a guiding document, which I think has been very successful, and we've passed on to new commissioners as they've come in. You chatted with Jairo Billings a few weeks ago. Yeah. Great commissioner. He really didn't have the time, but I kind of twisted his arm and said, please don't stop yet. The other thing that we've worked on really hard, which really needed, was our relationship with the city of Montpelier. So we proactively went and met with, and we try to meet with whenever there's a new planning or zoning director to make sure that they understand, because it's not often communicated that this is our jurisdiction, and they can have their process, but they have to come through the Capital Complex process first. And we did have an incident probably 2.5 years ago with a private home right on this back hill, and they went and did all the right things, but Montpelier didn't point them in the direction of coming to the Capital Complex at the same time. So that was an opportunity for Jennifer. That was one of her first big interactions with the commission, to reach out and really try to broker a better communication back and forth in the city. The other thing we did, the very first project we did, was the Victims Garden on Baldwin Street, which we dealt with everything from elevation to railings to right down to the type of stone, and making it an area where people can actually go and have some peace and reflect. So that's what I've done in my time. We've done a lot. I've encouraged BGS to look at the rooftops and sides of buildings. We had on 130 State Street lots of antennas that weren't even being utilized anymore. They were, unplugged or dewired, but they weren't removed. We've had to deal with an exhaust system. How do we make it look nice on the outside of the building, or as nice as we can? Same things with most of the buildings. We've had to deal with handicap accessibility issues, whether it was replacement or just trying to make the building move in a different manner. So anything that's on the outside is what we deal with.
So you guys did the gold leaf too on the dome?
Well, BGS did that. It's not something that we really had to do, because that's just redoing what was already there. Okay. Yeah, if you wanted to paint it purple, it would come to us. For instance, there was an initiative a couple years ago that many different groups wanted to have a different color light shining on the globe to recognize Alzheimer's or cancer. And so we didn't want the light changing every day or every week. So we met with BGS and decided on a limited use, and it had to go through BGS, the governor, et cetera. So we didn't want to say no, because there are going to be instances that we're going to want to be able to have that tool.
I haven't seen it yet, though. It's always white, as far as I know.
I guess we scared them off with limited use.
What about the rink, hockey, or it's not hockey?
So that was the most contentious project we had. And it wasn't. So we looked at our master plan, and that's a temporary structure. And so in the temporary structure, there are things that need to be addressed, like accessibility, safety, ensuring when they take the skating rink up, that the lawn is going to be repaired if the grass dies, that kind of thing. But we worked very closely with David Sheets on that, because it's a state capital. And the first rendition sort of looked like we were herding sheep, that it wasn't really an ice rink. And so we let that go through as a trial. We decided that the idea of it would work. And then they went back to the drawing board and worked on the aesthetic appeal and functionality of it. Obviously, this year hasn't got much use.
No, I have to say, I don't think I've seen maybe 1 or 2 times when somebody's been skating. And nice weather, driven, I understand that.
Yeah, and this last storm made it almost, I think there was a lot of enthusiasm and energy with volunteers in the beginning, and I think that sort of petered off a little bit. Because when I drove through, I think it was last Wednesday after that big storm, it was still a stack of snow and you couldn't, skate, that kind of thing.
This is the private property on your, could I own a home in this area here?
So I'd have to go back and ask Jennifer. We did ask for an accounting of that, and I think I'll check 8 properties.
So what happened? They have to follow something when they sell it? I heard you say something about someone sold a place. They have to ask permission.
They can sell it, but when the next people come in and new owners always want to do something, that we need to see what they're going to do, because it's within the capital complex.
Jurisdiction over private property.
Only in the complex. I think there's 8 properties.
Isn't that interesting? I never knew that.
Yeah, I thought it was just state-owned buildings, but so the people understand that going into that stuff, they want to.
Well, they should, but they don't often. So I've worked with Jennifer to try it to the best that we can, have the city tell us when there's a new owner, and we send them documentation and let them know what the process is. And another great commissioner here.
So that must have a varying value of the place, because you're under, if you make a recommendation to them, like say they want to change the windows or something, they have to clear it with you folks.
They do, and we, in terms of like changing windows and that, we rely heavily on the Vermont.
Vermont or?
I was gonna say Vermont Historical Society. Hey, how are you? Historic preservation, sorry. We work very closely with historic preservation. Anytime it triggers something that they're replacing a window, it has to look similar to what they're replacing. We always have them come to our meetings, and we rely on them. Yeah.
That's what you guys, they have to accept all that.
Yeah.
For private owner, that's.
Yeah. I would say once people know the process and they understand what our jobs are, it becomes, we really try to find a sweet spot that everyone is happy. I was just talking about the last project up here. They were sort of behind in understanding our role, and so it got a little contentious for a bit.
Being a real estate business, that would be a little.
Well, I think the unprecedented part of it is that they're a entity, they're a private property to within a compound, but it's not uncommon in Greensboro.
Really?
Well, in historic natures, Greensboro Village, I don't know how many feet without along the roadway, but there is a section of Greensboro that your house can be painted any color you want, as long as it's white with green shutters. And so that's the way it is. And you buy there. I think it's within a zoning bylaw or what? Yeah, the town sees that, and so that they have a role in that. And so I think it's a lot could be like I know that Woodstock has some very restrictive things as well. One of them being fences, even and some more. I've got a real estate instructor that's an attorney down there that actually, we've talked about that extensively. So, yeah, so it's not unheard of, it's just different.
We also reached out to the local realtors in the area. Tim Haney seems to do a lot within the Capitol complex so that he understood that that owner was. And oftentimes, I think potential buyers see it as a benefit to be in the Capitol complex. It's kind of a neat space to be in if the regulation is not that difficult. If you want to come and tear down a house or completely leave it, it could be an onerous process, for sure.
Yeah, I just want to follow up on that because it's kind of like an HOA or an historic area. I mean, it's very
But
similar.
with no
to that.
cost, yeah.
Right. No, but it's mandatory and there are restrictions on what you can do at the house. And what some places do is mandate somehow that the realtors let folks know before they buy the house.
Right.
That those covenants
Oh, you
are
gotta
there.
be, it's gotta be. a
Well,
full
that doesn't
disclosure.
always happen.
Well, there's some people always think that they can, it doesn't matter anyways, they just think that they can go, I don't know what the situation was with the the house that you're talking about, but there's some people just don't know that the laws always comply with them, or they need to comply with the law, so there's sometimes it gets lost in that.
Yeah,
Translation.
we believe in that one isolated case that the owner knew, but he said very clearly that Montpelier told him he had checked all the boxes, the city. So that's why we're always constantly trying to embrace the relationship and communication.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So many people on the commission?
There is 5, and our newest member, we haven't had a meeting yet, is John Holler. So he will actually be the representative of Montpelier.
Yeah.
So he's on the commission, but appointed by the city council.
Yeah.
Which is appropriate.
Yeah, John.
But he's still on the calendar.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh, is it yet?
I don't know why, but it used to be Fridays we took up all the confirmations, but we haven't done it.
Well, yeah, it's raining, they don't, if they got the time,
Yeah.
they come up. There's a lot that got reported, a lot of, now it's gonna take some time.
Yeah, just a
Yeah,
little quick-
please.
So, do you have a master plan? Do you have, like standards that you can point to, for example, if somebody wants to make something unsightly, can you have it be landscaped so that it doesn't show that kind of stuff?
Yeah, and so I think one of the things that we've done recently was looked at, it's a battery or it's a condensing unit on the far end of the state house.
Yep.
So we looked at how can we use shrubs and to the extent we have to, a fence to make sure that, I mean, it's gotta be there, it's gotta be that close to the building, so how can we make it look better? I should have brought you, and I'll bring it to Linda, so you guys have a copy if you want to peruse through the master, you didn't bring it, right? Master plan.
I thought of something, but I didn't.
Through
Okay, great, thank you, and thank you for your service.
Does anybody have to get permission if they wanna use the ground for a rally or something?
BGS, that's not a capital complex, so that's
Before they come and demonstrate or whatever, they gotta clear it or something?
they have to have, they're supposed to get an events permit through BGS. So like when they do the July 3rd celebration every year, they have to work through all of the security and everything with BGS. Yep,
Many people show up without asking any permission, just show up.
I think just sort of natural
Yeah.
groups that are coming down
Yeah,
State
right.
Street, stop here, that, unless it's a formal advertised event that's gonna take a longer period of time, I mean, it's the people's building and it's the
Yeah.
people's lawn.
So what keeps you still serving? After you've been here for a long time?
No, I asked myself that when Jaira said he was thinking about stepping down, and I just think we've had enough change that we need some consistency until, when I came in, there was 3 or 4 members that had served a very long time, and I just feel like we need some continuity, and I'm hoping that John will step into that role, and pleased that Susan's here today. I just think it's important.
I've been on for a while.
Yeah,
I have no idea when.
And who's your support if you, who do you turn to if you're running into problems?
so BGS, so technically the commissioner of BGS serves as our secretary.
Yeah.
And their staff is our staff. So Jennifer and typically David Sheets and sometimes someone else in his office, they attend all the meetings. And any documents or letters we need drafted, they do them and they just give it to us for approval.
And how often are you meeting?
We try to meet quarterly. When we were doing the master plan, we probably met twice a month for a year. It took us a while to finish that. But we like to say that we meet quarterly because applicants like to know that. But we will meet more often than that. Every time we have a meeting, we ask BGS, what do you see coming? Do you have, whether it's handicap, accessibility or parking or whatever, coming, just have it on our radar. And it's been pretty quiet, but I think we have a meeting coming up.
So you've been serving here since how long? Since 2005? 2005. What's
I
changed?
know, that's a long
What's
time.
changed in your thinking or has anything? I mean, I don't want to make it sound like you haven't done anything, but I mean, and I guess where I'm going with that, Heather, is that we were pretty shocked to hear the condition of this building 30 years ago, to the inside of the building, 30 years ago with some of the decorum that they had and what they had. So, I mean, very shocked to what it is now and what it was then. So have you seen any of those changes?
We've had, so we don't deal with anything inside the building,
Right,
just outside
yeah,
the building.
we're-
We've had a couple of meetings where they have talked about expanding the State House and what they would do with the cafeteria piece, just to keep it on our radar. And honestly, I'm in the building every day. It would be great if we could do that at some point. I think COVID showed that we really do need bigger meeting spaces and bigger cafeteria for sure, if you were up there today. I think that's what has changed, is that I think more people are coming than they used to. I think COVID stopped a bit of that, but I could see it's gonna kind of ramp back up again. And, I'm sure all you feel the same way. This is a people's building. They should be here. But you also have to do your work. So to the extent that we could improve some of those areas, that would be very helpful, I think. And I think that's when our master plan document would come in as a very useful tool dealing with the architects.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is kind of off topic, but maybe not. And so this is my 9th year up here. I was never probably worried about parking in this area before that, because it would be a day trip and you do your best. But parking seems to be becoming more of an issue. And I know outside the complex, Mr. Boucher had tried to put up a big parking garage and hotel and all, and ran into some permit problems,
Right.
some other issues, I guess. Is there any space left for parking configurations?
Yeah.
Yeah,
The pit.
Okay, so before I joined the Capital Complex Commission, I worked for the Downtown Community Association.
Yeah.
And I served on the Transportation Committee. And we looked at the Bashara property. We looked at the pit, which was behind the old Thrush Tavern.
Tried that for years.
The problem with that area, you do a traffic study and there's only so many ways out of Montpelier, and
Yeah.
it is a nightmare. But we specifically put in our master plan that parking is a criteria that has to be considered before any project goes forward.
okay.
Yeah, so those are the area, he tried that pit many years to turn that into parking garage. It's deep down, perfect, but never got anywhere back then. I don't know, maybe that's one of the reasons the traffic, I never,
Yeah, the traffic study for that specific area was not good.
yeah, 'cause that's an ideal spot for cars.
Right.
Down low, go up high.
Right.
But you have to exit on
Yeah,
State
yeah,
Street,
yeah, that's
and
right.
you're immediately in that
Never
grill.
thought- I don't
You
think.
go down State, you go over Taylor, I mean, it's a nightmare already at 4:30.
I wish you'd had more success, I guess, because on that side of the street, it might be a little easier.
Well, if the Bashara property project went through, which would have added, I believe it's a Hilton, it would have had additional parking, and they got a lot of pressure from downtown residents, and they just pulled out.
No, I understand, but then they built the transit center.
And I'm sure for any of you that stay at Capitol Plaza, you would have liked to have had another place in the downtown to stay.
Yeah.
It's good enough.
Good enough.
Beats driving.
That's right.
Well, anything else for Heather?
Thank you.
I'll get you a copy of the master plan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
What you do.
I'm gonna leave it to you. Good to see you.
Is that Tim Hayward?
It is.
Yes.
My God, Tim, how are you, buddy? We go back a long time.
Well, Susan, how are you?
I'm good.
Good, well, thank you for coming in today. We appreciate it very much.
I had COVID and I got all better and I'm
Yay.
more lively than I've been since.
So just recently,
Yeah, from the 5th of March, that's when I was diagnosed.
first time?
Yeah,
Yeah.
been so careful, but went on a drive with our daughter-in-law who works at Guy's in Morrisville and all the guys have it.
Oh, no.
Same guy and his gang.
How long have you been lucky enough to have that man?
How long have we been married?
Yeah.
55 years in
Oh
June.
gee, I
Believe
got,
that.
I got 1 year on you. I got
Yeah.
56.
Yeah.
We don't know how
Yeah.
it worked.
Yeah.
Tim was here for years.
Yeah.
So, God, long time.
So how long have you served on the committee?
We have no idea.
Yeah.
I'd say a little after Heather got there.
Yeah.
I'm hoping you question me about things, about myself, not about the,
Well, tell us about you. Tell us what you want to tell us.
did you get my paper?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, that's about it. So that's
Okay.
everything that has to do
Alright.
with historical things.
Uh-huh.
Pretty much, I summed up that, and I've done a lot of other things, but Tim didn't think you'd care, so I didn't mention it. I don't know.
So what have you seen in the time that you've served that's been different?
I'll tell you, I love this building. I love it. And since David called me, David Cheats, in 1986 and said, so you're wondering why I haven't called you before, aren't you? And I said, well, yeah. And he said, would you be on the State House Friends Board? And I said, yes, I would love that. And he just knew, and I'd seen him a lot. And that's when I started coming here all the time and doing things. And I don't know, I do have a love affair with this building and her. I have a big half-gallon jar on my kitchen windowsill, quart jar, full of all of a bunch of shavings from making her that aren't her. I said, this is not serious, this is what isn't her.
Wow.
And when the guy was carving her, I said, I want some of those. He said, sure. And there were mounds of them. And I just have had a love with this building forever. And I love working with the friends because everyone else does.
Yeah.
And we do all we can. And it's people are mad sometimes because they don't want them to do things, but too bad. And the same with the CCC. If someone's going to do something really stupid and make this whole block or complex look bad, we're not letting them do that. And we have that power and it's really cool.
Wonderful.
It's perfect.
Great.
So before you were on the Capitol Complex, you were, or is it all in one? You were on
Oh.
Friends of the State House
He
first?
called me, David called me in 86. We had just moved to Montpelier from Middlesex where we lived. We lived 10 years in each house. We lived in Montpelier for a year maybe. And asked if I'd be on the Friends Board and I said yes. And then I don't know who asked me or how I got on, maybe Heather, on the Capitol Complex Commission, but way after. It was in the 2000s after she was on. Oh, I know why, because Douglas was governor and I had that background, so that worked. And he also appointed me to the Governor's Commission on Historic Preservation. And that was wonderful, and I loved giving grants to people for their barns or for restoring a property. But we started having these grandchildren, and I'm really very happy to do it, babysitter. And I had those kids all the time, and I'd have a folder with this many barns in it to go through in 3 days to pick out barns which deserved $5,000. And it was driving me crazy. So I said, I can't really do this. And they said, one of the members said, well, why don't you get daycare? And I said, I am daycare. And I love being a caretaker. So I resigned that, but I was on it for maybe 4 or 5 years. But and everyone was a professional in the preservation area. And I had gone through the graduate program by getting an undergraduate degree, you see. I was the first one to do that. But they all knew everything right on top of their heads. Every term, every law, and I really didn't. But though I loved it and loved working in it. They were sort of angry, but too bad. Anyway.
So where do you folks live now?
Middlesex,
Middlesex.
where we first lived. We built a house, we kept some land and built a house 24 years ago out by Mount Hunger.
And then you moved them up there?
No, we moved there.
Yeah.
To a house bulldozed, but we fixed it up. It was an abandoned dwelling. And we loved it out there with 120 acres. And then lived there for 10 years. And then Tim was hired by the Vermont Bankers Association. And he thought he'd be doing a lot of nighttime work here or at the office, and thought it'd be good if we lived in Montpelier, but we didn't need to. We moved to Montpelier up on Town Hill for 10 years, and then we moved. Children left, so we built a house on the land we still have. And
Your Leahy over there? Pat Leahy, he's in Middlesex.
he's not near us. He's near the interstate, and we're way up by the
Oh, I
mountain. But we really like it. And one child son who's 45 lives next door.
Oh,
Oh, that's perfect, yeah.
Could you pick any event or any thing that you were part of that you were, that's most rewarding to you since you've been on the commission? Or is there anything that stands out to you that you were just said, I'm glad I was there for that?
It wasn't the commission, it was the Friends, but when the book came out, Nancy Graff and Dave's book, I thought it would be really good if we had State House cupcakes with gold domes and the goddess of agriculture on top. So I made a mold out of food. What do you call it? I don't know what it's called. What we make molds out of for food.
Like the gelatin stuff?
No, it was I
Plastic?
made molds of series. Like first I carved her
Wow,
and then set her into this mold making stuff like a
Wow.
gel, and then hardened it.
like a Play-Doh or something. kind
Yeah,
of, But not Play-Doh.
Silica or something.
Oh.
Pushed it in, made 4 of those, and then made 100 of her, putting, I don't know what I made it out of, some sort of dough, and then put her on top of each cupcake, and I was so proud.
It's a
I like crafty things that are.
Yeah.
That's great.
So-
Well, I love this building too.
Me too.
And it's just, it makes our work better.
Oh,
to be
yeah.
in this
Oh my gosh.
environment.
Every time I come across the bridge in the morning, I look at this place.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, I know.
Is my cupcake in there?
I'm as excited as today as I was the first day.
Yeah.
See that dome? Yeah, I'm part of it.
Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Never goes away. It's just
No.
an
You're right.
honor to be able to come in this
Yeah.
building. I think.
Oh, it really is.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Nice to meet you.
I think my
The
cupcake.
2 different ways that I came
Really?
in, the first time I ever came here, I was coming for orientation, and I came in along the river, and I could see the building, and I was like, boy, that's just really surreal that I'm gonna be there. And
Yeah.
then,
Okay.
Yeah.
and then coming in on where you guys just live on Town Hill, the next time I
Oh, yeah.
came down, I came in on Town Hill,
In the
and
winter.
then you get there, and then you just all of a sudden it's there, and it's the same thing, but it's fun to hear you guys say the same thing that I feel
Oh,
when I come in. It's like, oh my God, I just can't believe I'm actually in that building, part of the building, and because it is a special place for sure.
One of 30 in the whole state.
Yeah.
That's quite
Yeah.
an honor, I'll tell you.
Yeah,
Never got over it.
I deliberately take that today every week, so I can come in front and see it.
Yeah.
Peg Floor used to say, it's amazing, it's like working in a museum,
Yeah.
but you look at it and you say, that's what I do.
That's right, that's right, that's your.
So not to deflect from you, Susan, but I do want to recognize Tim.
I guess.
Tim and I served 6 years together on judicial nominating.
I said, wanna come? And he goes, yeah. And he just
Yes, it was always a pleasure to work with you and to see you, and you did some great work on that. So, on behalf of the state, thank you.
Yeah, Tim was around here a long time, many years.
Yeah, well, I was thinking, I resigned from Douglas left in January of 11,
Oh,
12 years ago.
Yeah.
yeah.
Time does go.
And you were here a long time
Yeah,
before.
well, I first came here and Dick Snelling asked me to go work for him, which I did for 6.5 years.
You were in the legislature before
I
that.
was legislature before that.
What years were you in the legislature?
77, 78.
Okay.
And, is that right? 77, 78.
Or,
Yeah, that's
or
right.
in that difference.
I was 72 to
He's been
76.
in government.
I was elected at the same time Snelling was first time.
Okay. First day I went to the House, I went in with Jim Douglas and Madeline.
72.
72. I went in with both of them. The three of us went in brand new, but my father had been here before that. And when I went in the House, it was 72, 76. And, yeah, Peanut Kennedy.
Some have been smart enough to get out.
Yeah, that was, because like I said, you were here all years I was here since the Senate.
The time that I worked for Douglas, the senator, at least once a week, would come by to the open door that the governor had every morning with donuts or
Yeah.
rolls or something. I'm not sure what he thought was gonna
I
catch.
was figuring the governors. Yeah, I worked with 7 or 8 governors, I think it is, over the years, with Madeline and Shumlin and Dean and all those, we had, well, Snelling for a while until he.
Twice, that's only
Passed
twice,
away.
right?
Well,
Because then wasn't he governor, and then he went and he got done, and he ran again, and he would become governor again, didn't he?
when he died,
He left. It's 85.
yeah, that's the year I got here. And, because I was in California at a convention with John Boomer, I think. And we had to come home in a hurry because we got the news and, so we flew back home. So I only served just a short time because I got here in 85. I got here in 84. In 85, I took office in 85. So I didn't have much time with Snelling at all. So, tough guy.
So, we've met just about the whole committee, I think. And I think it's funny because you have committees lots of times that maybe there's not a lot to do and you just don't get the caliber of people that we're seeing that come out for this committee. I think, they're very fortunate to have you as you are to have them. We've met some very unique individuals who are serving for all the right reasons, I believe. Because of what your care is for the complex and this building in itself. So we're very fortunate to have you be the caretakers, and we're appreciative of that. So
That's what I feel like, a caretaker.
yeah. So I think you as they are. They're all lucky to have one another, watching out for the people's building for sure.
How many children do you have?
Pardon me?
How many children do you have?
I think 3, but 7 grandchildren who I love more than the children.
One of those 3 children who now lives in Raleigh was our executive page.
She's 53.
Lost track of the year.
Okay.
She's 53 or 4 now.
Oh my
Yeah,
God. Oh my
wow.
God.
I'm the same age. How can that be?
One of those miracles.
Yeah. Committee, anything else
No,
for
I'm-
Susan?
No, this is
Well,
great. Thank you.
We
for your
want to thank
service.
both of you for coming
See
in.
you both. See you, Tim.
Very, very much a pleasure, and appreciate you taking the time. Appreciate for your service very much.
I'm glad you didn't ask me everything you asked Heather.
Yeah, well,
She knows everything.
well, we had to leave something. We had to
Well,
leave
she-
something for you
she's
as
also
well.
Chairman, so she knows it. She has to know.
No,
That's
well,
her wave set, mindset.
But she didn't do the cupcakes.
She what?
She didn't do the
It
cupcakes.
may
She did
seem
the cupcakes.
frivolous, but they needed to have
No,
some
it's
good-
cool. It's memorable.
Needed to have a good over derby delicacy at that book launch, and that was cool.
It's a great book.
And they still have the mold for series if you need it.
Oh, good. Well, that's good to know. I'm gonna-
well, we know where to go with that. Yeah.
It's very funny, and our grandson, who's now 15, helped me do it. He thought, science, pushing the wooden thing down in, and I guess I made it something else, but it was fun.
Well, we heard from Jennifer Fitch, BGS commissioner, yesterday, that she's a baker.
Yeah.
She might be interested in that mold, or at least
Yeah.
knowing that there's a mold in
I'll
case you
give it
ever,
to her. We
there
need
you go.
we need to get rid of it.
It's a great idea. She might be the next person to give it to.
Have you ever been up the dome? I've never been up the dome. I've never been up there.
I've been up there, yes.
Yeah, we need to go. We need a field trip upstairs.
All the years I've
Our daughter's initials are up there when she was a page. They all went.
Aw.
But I think that's probably not lawful, but it was everyone.
No, everyone.
All the page towns.
Nope, never been.
We'll go up before we're done.
Alright, that's
It's a little spooky. Some of us are on the tour I was on. It was Tim's brother, wasn't it? We went up with, when
I can't remember.
Phil or somebody came.
Oh.
We
yes,
went up
I
there.
know.
We got a special tour from David I've never been. It's a little scary. You have to be careful and hold on.
I know.
It's all wood, isn't it, inside?
Yeah, a lot of wood.
A lot of names.
Lot of names.
There's
Oh,
signs that
yes.
go Up there, yeah, all the pages. of-
And the gilding was such an amazing
not bad.
feat, and how that ever got passed. Everyone said, yes, we need to rebuild the dome. I'm so glad they did.
Yeah.
Today, it's very shiny in the sun.
It is, yeah,
Beautiful.
it does. It actually almost, sometimes, even on a gloomy day, it almost has a glow to it. Yeah, it's very nice. Well, thank you. I think we're gonna have a couple votes.
Thanks a lot, appreciate it.
Thank you very
Good seeing
much.
Jim.
Good to see you all.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
And I mentioned that we served on the keyboard together.
Great.
6 years.
On
Really?
transportation board, yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Which I'll see you soon. I'm still on it. I'll probably get off it, but I'm still on it for now. Yeah.
My term's up, but you know, governors take a long time.
Are you
Yeah.
still on JMP?
I haven't been replaced yet.
Oh, there you go. There'll be some vacancies. I think there's 3 coming up.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, thank
Good to
you.
see
Thank you.
Really
Thank
nice
you.
to meet
Thank you
you.
for coming in. Well, committee, we have a couple votes here. Yeah, I'm just very impressed with the level, the caliber of who they have that are. Yeah, yeah, they really are.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
And the balances of experience are really good. Yeah, talents.
Yeah, I thought that was, Tim. I hadn't seen him for so many years and it looked like I hadn't seen him.
These don't require a reporter, I don't think,
No, okay,
No, they just.
because they're not underlined. Jennifer Wood.
okay.
Yeah, oh, yeah, she is. Commissioner Deputy.
But I'll move that we, do you want to do them separately?
Yeah, we'll do it separately.
I'll move that Heather Schultes be reappointed to the Capital Complex Commission.
As chair.
As chair. CCC.
Yeah. And a second?
I'll second.
Okay,
I don't think I.
yeah, go ahead. Irene, call the roll.
Senator Collmore.
Yeah.
Senator Harrison.
Yes.
Senator Mazza.
Yes.
Senator Renner, yes. Senator Ingles.
Yes.
Thank you.
And then we'll take a motion, well, when you're ready, Senator Renner, I'll wait. Tell me when you're ready.
I would move that we appoint Susan Hayward to the Capital.
Second.
Okay, call the roll.
Senator Collmore.
Yes.
I
should have known I was first.
There's a time limit.
Senator Harrison.
I was, well, what's he say wrong? What's he say wrong?
Yes, yes, of course.
Senator
Yes.
Mazza. Senator Renner, yes. Senator Ingles.
Yes.
Thank you.
Great.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll get John Howard in there. Yeah. He was here a month ago. Remember, we said, we're gonna get it done by this Friday.
Well, as long as we got it done, that's all.
Well, we voted you.
Yeah, I just
Make
don't know.
copy and I take notes.
You get these
And help.
with the, put a little sticky on with the number, the vote.
And tomorrow we do state house expansion, which is
Yeah,
very timely.
state house expansion.
What, we're talking about that again?
Well, I know it's still going. There's still a study that's going, so yeah. No, it's good.
Another $50 million.
So committee, what else?
How's the Capitol bill coming along in the House? Is it
I will
done?
be able to tell you that at tomorrow's meeting. I'll meet with, the Chair Emmons, tomorrow. And, I bet, I'm kind of hearing that we might have it by Friday, but, that's not an official word. It's true. So they might have it, yeah, right. So, yeah, so they might have it,
Yeah. Appropriation.
yeah. Just for some information, just because I'm aware of it, and I was at the chair's meeting tomorrow, last night, they're talking about the, if there's a veto, session, they're talking about the 21st, 22nd.
Oh.
So just to make everybody
Yeah.
aware as far as that.
Yeah, thanks for the reminder.
Okay, good, saw that.
Yeah, because it needs saved.
When's the adjournment? Sure. Yeah, we always said it.
I think it's May 9th, that's what I heard.
It's Keisha's due date.
Yeah.
Is that what she's saying?
Yeah, or 10th is her due date.
Yeah.
She wants to.
She wants out before that.
So, yeah, so I think probably if we don't have anything else, we'll call it a day.